Hello and welcome! Today I want to talk about the new aircraft carrier and AA test on the test server. Before we dive in, if you want to take part in this test, you can sign up using the code IWANNATESTCVS until 7 AM on August the 7th, which is just a few hours before the test actually ends. You will need to install an entirely separate client from the main game and from the regular test server. There's a link in the description that has all the information. You can win an Enterprise, Musashi or Jean Bart when you participate, and again, more details in the link. So, what's the new CV test about? Well, the current iteration of CVs has a bunch of problems. Way too much spotting by the CV, including fighters, AA defenses feeling way too weak because anti-air can't really protect you from a strike, and CV focusing on a single target over and over and over again. It just becomes frustrating to be on the defending side like that. The current CV test tries to address all three of these by changing a bunch of the fundamentals of how CVs work. So, carrier planes can now fly in three different modes that are indicated by how high they fly. First, travel mode. Travel mode flies so high up that anti-air cannot shoot at them. But the planes also cannot spot any opponents themselves. The planes can see enemies that are spotted by allies though. Enemy fighters can engage planes in travel mode, and travel mode planes fly at maximum speed. From travel mode, planes can press Q to enter the second mode, recon mode. The planes will drop down from high altitude to low altitude and start spotting things. Planes in this mode are vulnerable to ship AA and fighters. There's a complicated recon mode timer involved, which basically means you can't stay in recon mode forever, and you can't just go back and forth between travel and recon mode constantly. The third mode is attack mode. From recon mode you can start an attack run in a manner that you're used to, basically like it is on the live servers right now. But from travel mode it is a two-step process. First, the planes will basically drop down into recon mode, and after some seconds go by, they will automatically start the attack run. In attack mode, the planes can spot, be targeted by anti-air and fighters. Most of the time, planes will go from travel mode into attack mode, and the new system feels a little unusual to use at first, but eventually you get used to it. When you do go into attack mode, only a fraction of your entire squadron drops down into attack mode. This means that only those three planes, for example on the Midway, are vulnerable to anti-air. The rest of the squadron sits high in the air in travel mode and does not take any anti-air damage. It also means that if any of the planes get shot down out of the three planes that are doing the attack run, then they will not get replaced like they are right now on the live server. The strike will simply be weaker. In the initial test so far, Hakuryu only had 2 torpedo bombers striking at once. Haku planes are also pretty low HP, so you usually lost one of the torpedo bombers before you could drop, which effectively halved the potential damage output the Hakuryu could do. Now on Midway, since you had 3 attacking planes, you only lost 1/3, but this is being changed for the Hakuryu. Hakuryu is going to get 3 torpedo bombers per strike, but the torpedo damage itself is being reduced to compensate. Also, strong anti-air was enough to shoot down 1 to 2 planes before they struck. AA from multiple ships was strong enough to just wipe out the entire attacking squadron before they could drop. What these changes mean for the CV player is that they will have to get used to doing new kinds of attacks. In the current iteration of the test, this also made torpedo bombers undoubtedly the best type of attack plane. Rocket planes were bad to okay, but dive bombers were just awful. However, some of the changes on the test server might address that. Oh, and CVs manually can control their secondaries now. Destroyers will get absolutely wrecked by a CV if the CV decides to fight them with guns. However, if you don't want to manually shoot, then you can just continue playing with planes, and your secondaries will still automatically engage enemy ships while you're flying around. Damage control party works the same way. If you're in manual control of the ship, then you can manually damage control party, and you have to manually do that, but if you're flying planes, then it's automatic. Although it's automatic, if you get set on fire, then it'll use damage control party. If you're on fire and decide to launch planes, you're gonna continue burning. Anti-air has changed too. As mentioned above about travel mode, your AA will not shoot at planes that are in travel mode. It might feel a bit weird when you first see enemy CV planes just fly straight above your ship with no care in the world. Sectoral anti-air becomes manual anti-air. It's basically the same thing. Press a button to deal burst damage to planes, but it doesn't improve anti-air damage itself anymore, and you don't need to aim it. It'll just work in any direction the planes are. Your regular automatic AA has some changes too. It now has a progress bar that slowly builds up more the more your anti-air guns keep firing. This is intended to stop a CV from striking the same target over and over and over again. Once the progress bar fills up, your AA will start dealing bonus damage. Your manual AA will deal bonus damage, and your manual AA has a reduced cooldown. For my testing, it reduced cooldown to something like 8 seconds on the Montana. This buff lasts for several minutes and will not reset even when you disable your anti-air. I think this is a pretty cool change. Defensive fire got an overhaul too. When you activate it, your anti-air range improves to 7 kilometers, with some improved damage. On top of that, if you have defensive fire active when enemy planes enter your anti-air range, then those planes will be blinded. They will no longer be able to spot ships or other planes, but they will still see ships spotted by allies. The blinding effect ends when the planes go back into travel mode. This is pretty effective from my experience, but you really have to play the CV yourself to actually feel it. From the cruiser's perspective, it didn't really feel like much changed, although we do get a new ribbon for blinding planes. I do want to emphasize again though, that defensive fire has to be activated before the planes enter your anti-air range. Also, when you activate defensive anti-air, your automatic AA progress bar will rise to 50%. Something to note though is that the World of Warships blog's changes on the test server say that defensive fire will not gain increased anti-air damage with defensive fire anymore. This does make defensive fire useless if you're being spotted by an enemy ship. But the change is only a 20% difference, so you probably shouldn't have used it for that anyway. In my opinion, the changes make CV play worse. It feels a little less fun, and I felt less effective at dealing damage. But overall, I like these preliminary changes. I think there's a lot of potential to be had here. Ironically, during testing so far, spotting actually didn't feel much worse because fighters were able to spot. But this is being changed so that fighters can only spot up to 2 kilometers. The plane mechanic was kind of a cool counterplane method though. On the surface ship side, the value of fighter planes massively increased. If a CV attacks you, your anti-air will take care of the incoming attack, but it won't do anything about the other 9 planes flying above you in travel mode, plotting a follow-up attack. Fighter planes, however, will engage them and shoot them down. I even saw a fighter plane Worcester during the test. Anyway, that's basically it, so let's play a match. We're in the Tier 10 American aircraft carrier, the Midway. And the Midway undoubtedly was the best CV in the test. You could also play the Audacious and the Hakuryu. The reason for Midway being the best is because she has the best torpedo bombers and, well, at least currently, the best planes are torpedo bombers. Rocket planes are okay and dive bombers were just terrible. Of course, don't really expect too much out of this match because it's a 4 versus 4, but pretty much every match I played on the test server was a 4 versus 4. So, I flew towards the enemy, I entered scout mode by pressing Q. Now I can see the enemies, because remember, in travel mode I can't actually spot anyone. I see that they're heading over to the eastern side of the map, so I bring my CV to the west, because in a 4 versus 4 it often came down to a battleship just going through the middle and sinking everyone. Because that's exactly what I did when I played a battleship in this mode. Anyway, the first drop should be pretty okay. So one of the main reasons why torpedo bombers are the best, other than the damage, is that they have a heal. Now I'm gonna be engaged by fighters, most of this is gonna get shot down. I hope that maybe some of my planes are still left and I can do another strike. Seems like it's only gonna be 2, but technically I could do another strike. Wow, that was actually a really good drop. We landed 5 hits. almost 16,000 damage. And we likely caused a damage control party use. Now I'm gonna do a very long range drop because these planes will get shot down. Because remember, last time I only really got close because I had the heal up. This time, look, one of the planes already yellow HP, and once it drops to... oh, never mind. Yeah. I hope the Montana runs into them. It probably isn't gonna happen, but you never know, right? So this time I'm gonna launch rocket planes to go help my Shimakaze. Honestly, I haven't seen many destroyers, so it's gonna be interesting to see how this works out. Now, the rocket plane attacks are still gonna be roughly the same, so I'm in travel mode, but I'm gonna have to drop into basically recon mode, and now the attack run actually starts. I can spot destroyers like this, but sadly, I can only spot them closer than what I would expect. Now I drop a fighter on top of him to actually spot him, but this is being changed. Fighter spotting will be 2 kilometers after the changes. So I'm gonna do a follow-up attack. Again, it's a 2-step process from travel mode into an actual attack. Oh, I'm being locked by fighters, I didn't realize that. That's unfortunate. Therefore, the attack just didn't work. Next up, we're gonna try dive bombers. Now, the one thing I did find with dive bombers is that they were okay with fighting destroyers. They weren't great at it, but they were okay. So the reason dive bombers are kinda bad is because you can't speed up or slow down planes. And this makes dropping kind of difficult. On top of that, the other problem is that you just get some of the planes shut down and then you deal no damage when you actually drop. Oh! Okay, Shimakaze got shot down. I mean, was sunk by the Midway's torpedoes, by the way. Torpedo bombers are the best after all. So the enemy Midway is angling towards my Shimakaze. I'm gonna drop him a... Actually, I don't need to drop a fighter because she already got one. So instead we're gonna try to strike the Montana. Okay, we line up the attack. Again, it's a 2-step process. But also remember that the Montana actually is moving forward in this. Oh, this is actually looking good. This might be one of the best drops I've had yet. Well, one of the planes still got shot down, but we landed one bomb. Yeah, dive bombers are not great, okay? They're just not good. But I mean, we're gonna do another one. So see, since I'm in travel mode, I can't spot the CV, or I mean battleship, but I know roughly where he is, so maybe... No, I don't think we can make it. Yeah. This is not going to work. We're not gonna catch up to the battleship. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Luckily though, at least we don't get shot at while in travel mode. So I'm gonna try again. I could drop into scout mode, but the thing is, if you go from travel mode into attack mode in the 2-step process, then technically you take a little bit less anti-air damage, as I understand. There's some kind of damage reduction at play. But if you do go into scout mode, the drop is basically kind of what you're used to, except you don't get to speed up and slow down. And when some of your planes get shot down, they don't get replaced, so planes getting shot down is very painful. Look, 2 of them have already been shot down, and I drop immediately because I'm afraid the 3rd one might get shot down too. So essentially, dropping becomes more about, you know, doing multiple strikes, and fighter planes on the defending ship are extremely powerful, because they will engage even the planes that are high in the sky. Okay, surely this time we'll do a decent drop, right? Actually, we might be too far behind. Come on! Now, I will say that in the latest iteration of the test, they did actually improve the timing on this a little bit. Nope, we didn't get the drop-off. That's too bad. Anyway, we're gonna take the base. Because again, it's a 4 versus 4. Well, 3 versus 3 now, so it's really important what every ship does. Unfortunately, our Grossakov has decided to push into the enemy. What you should be doing is what that Montana is doing. Just stay far away so that it takes more time. I'm thinking of actually attacking the Midway now. I'm gonna drop a fighter on this guy, and then go after the Midway, mostly because she appears to be stationary, and the Grossakov is firing on her. So I might be able to get a pretty easy drop-off, and that might deal a lot of damage. Wow! Nice shot, Grossakov. Yeah, the Midway is stationary, so we should get a very nice drop. I think I've done like 25,000 in a single drop if every torpedo hits. Well, on a ship that doesn't have a good torpedo belt. Okay. Yeah, I think we're gonna get it. The fighter isn't gonna engage us, so we're gonna definitely lose planes. So it's immediately a pullback option or angle. Yeah, I think our Grossekofist is kind of dead. If Midway doesn't die, I'm gonna go do another one. Or, well, she has 7k. Yeah, I think it makes sense to go after the CV again, to make sure that she's actually out of the game. Sadly, our GK is a little angered. Oh, actually, she might run out in flooding. Nice. Very nice. So, if you're actually in manual control of this... Wait, was that guy AFK maybe? Is that why? Oh no! I didn't realize this during the game. I only realized this just now. So if you're actually in manual control of the CV, damage control party is not automatic. So you have to manually press the button. It's only automatic when you're in control of planes. So if you get flooded and you launch a plane, you stay flooded. Damage control party isn't gonna trigger itself. Ooh, this looks like a nice drop. Oh, that was a very nice drop. Every single plane was able to drop, and we're gonna get engaged by this fighter, aren't we? Yep, we are. RIP planes. Well, let's do another one. Montana is coming closer, so the drops are gonna get a little easier. The main thing is I want to make sure I avoid the Montana in open combat. I do have guns and all that, but they're not enough to beat the Montana. Trust me, I've tried. Okay, we entered scout mode to be able to actually see the Montana, and then started another drop. Scout mode dropping is basically like you're used to. Right, it isn't really any different. You probably have to drop from further away, otherwise your planes get shot down. But other than that, it's pretty close. But notice that my scout mode is at 5 seconds on cue. This means I can't actually use it now. So that's why I started to drop from travel mode. But, you know, it's gonna be fine. I think. Because I think 2 torpedoes should be enough at this point. And every plane drops 2. Anyway, Montana should be gone. But obviously the only... Actually, let's just make sure with the rocket planes. She survived! I can't believe it! I can't believe she survived that. But luckily, rocket planes should be enough to deal at least 1,000 damage. Surely? Yep. Excellent. Little bit of a traffic jam with the Midways. Oh! There's a fighter on top of us, and it locked immediately on our fighters. Now this is being changed. Apparently the interceptors were actually high in the sky, so anti-air actually couldn't shoot at them. And this causes an obvious problem, right? When you put it on top of the CV can't actually get rid of it without sacrificing planes. Anyway, hello Midway. Would you like some torpedoes? There's a cyclone ongoing, but honestly, with CVs it doesn't matter. At least it's not really any different than it is now. Okay, I mean, that's an okay drop. I guess we can do another torpedo bomber drop, because we do have at least 3 planes. But the angle is gonna be pretty difficult here. This was actually one of my more effective games. Honestly, most of the games that had a cruiser, I just spent the entire game chasing around the cruiser and not really being able to sink it. On that note, I will post a cruiser replay of the Zao later. Ooh, my planes got shot down. Okay, I think at this point we might as well just finish him with guns. Hello Midway. Fancy seeing you around here. Because it's just gonna be easier with these. Man, I love the manual control of the secondary. I really hope that they add this to like some of the secondary battleships. Like maybe you press a button like the F key for example, and then take manual control of your secondaries. And if you're not in that mode, it just works automatically. 130,000 damage. I am very happy with this game. This was one of the best matches I had. Most of my matches were just terrible. I just couldn't land attacks properly. But I am kind of hopeful for these preliminary changes. I think there's definitely hope here. It's gonna, in my opinion, nerf CV power a bit and give a lot more power to cruisers. But we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I hope I'll see you guys next time.